Hey everybody, welcome back to the Running Through It podcast YouTube page. Some of the stuff I talk about on the podcast is coaching related. Really dealing with my experience in the coaching field and just like my knowledge as far as everything goes there. So what I want to do, I thought would be a fun video, is post-marathon, because I ran a marathon last week. And I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I did. It happened. I don't want to talk about it, but it happened. So what I want to do is kind of take you through my plan through the end of the year. So when I'm looking at races next year, we're looking at spring races, maybe doing a half and another full in the fall, and then peppering in some 5Ks and 10Ks along the way, with the half being the goal. So when I think about that, I just want to plan out my base through the end of the year and then go into more specific training as we get into 2019. This is kind of like the approach I like to take, especially now that it's kind of like a downtime. I took a week off, but now's the time to build up base. This will be a good video to show your high school runners, if you're just getting into things and you don't have a goal necessarily, but you just want to build that base fitness. So this will be good things that aren't necessarily specific to a certain race, so there's going to be a lot of varying training in there. But I come from a school of thought, a school of coaching, where you want to train all paces for all distances. Now, mileage-wise is and the length of the workout is kind of what indicates the race that you're training for. But as far as that goes, you kind of get more specific as we get into it. But the goal of base training is to set yourself up for that specific training as you get down the line, but that you can handle more of that specific training. So the idea of base training is that you want to build up your base level of aerobic fitness so that when it comes to like at half or full marathon training, for instance, you can handle more at marathon pace or at threshold pace. So let's kind of get into this. As you can see on the screen here, I went through all the boring-ish parts that might not be fun to see me set up a video for. So I kind of made a mileage skeleton. So I kind of put in 3 columns of aggressive, moderate, and conservative. So the conventional wisdom is that you don't want to jump up in mileage more than, say, 10% a week. Now, this can kind of vary if in the opening weeks when you're kind of coming back from training. You can jump up a little bit more. You don't want to kind of limit yourself there, especially if you're coming from like 80 or 90 mile weeks, take a couple weeks off. You can start your second or third week at like 40 miles a week and jump up a little bit quicker, because that first week is just kind of readying your body to get back into training. So I kind of have them set up in these 3 separate columns. Aggressive probably being a tough ask on your body, especially as you get into the late weeks. So I'll probably aim for more of the moderate approach, which is, I label that as kind of 10 to 12% over time. And as you get into the later weeks, a little bit more on the conservative side. And then you can see the conservative plan, which would be what I would do with somebody who is a little bit newer to the sport, who might have some injury issues, that you want to take things a little bit slower. Some of the early weeks, you're just jumping up 8%, starting at 35 miles a week. But, I've been running for over 10 years now, and I ran in college, and mileage-wise, if you think of it as lifetime miles, I put in a lot of high mileage weeks in college, so I am usually a little more aggressive with my mileage jumps, and a lot of that is just kind of getting that consistency back. So what I will probably do is I will aim for aggressive and settle for moderate in my own plan. So then I went to that. So that's kind of the mileage skeleton. So you can see here in training, I'm going to kind of put that under mileage total. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to basically copy and paste this, put it over into the training tab. Okay, so then there's your mileage total. That's kind of your outline. And then we'll fill in things as we go through. So then on this window, you can see I started to fill in the workouts I want to do. So my quality days. When I'm designing a program, I'll typically do 3 quality days a week. I like to do hard, easy. Maybe after your long run or your hardest workout, you take 2 easy days. In my plan, one of those easy days is going to be just an off day. This is one of the things that this is the time I like to stress working with your schedule. So I will typically have 2 off days with my main job. I usually like to schedule Fridays and Sundays as my hardest work days, just because I don't have to be anywhere, so I can train as hard as I want with no obligations aside for my coaching things. I usually will take Mondays off. So Mondays, as you'll see in my plan, I actually already put that. I didn't. I thought I did. Well, Mondays are going to be my rest days. So I'll kind of just put that there and drag that down. Reasoning being that Mondays are usually my first day back into the swing of things. I'll do my hardest workout on Sunday. So I'll take Monday as my rest day. I'll take Tuesday easy. Wednesday will be a workout. Thursday will be easy. Friday workout. Saturday easy. Sunday long run. And this is the thing where everything needs to be individualized. So for me, I don't handle long runs very well. Usually it takes me a while to recover from a long run. So that's why I want to do my long run on Sunday, followed by some easy days to physically recover. On Tuesday, I'll do some strides, and then that'll ready me for Wednesday's workout. Okay, so let's go into the key workouts and just kind of talk about key areas of improvement I want to see in myself. So my key areas of improvement are going to be my long run. Again, that's something I struggle with, but as I tell people all the time, usually the area that you struggle with most is kind of the area that you need the most improvement on, or the workout that you need the most. So long run is something that I really want to emphasize in this build-up. And for base training, you can run long all you want. Mileage is key. Mileage is king, and the more mileage you can pack into a base period, the better off you'll be as you head into that more specific training. As I repeat myself again. I want to do longer steady states. So my one downfall I had in marathon training that I feel like, one, I didn't do enough with the long run, but also I didn't do enough at steady state. So I was really more focusing on the routine and getting back into training that I didn't do enough at threshold to set myself up for success. So that's one thing I want to emphasize, is kind of getting back into those longer steady state runs. And then I want to have an improved emphasis on mile pace and running economy. What I know with myself through college training is that I run my best when I'm also doing some running economy training as well. I used to do a mile pace workout once a week, or at the least once every other week. So that can be strides, hill training, mile repeats, that sort of thing. Because mile repeats aren't necessarily, this is from the Jack Daniels school of thought, where you do mile repeats more as a emphasis on running economy and getting more efficient. But it also works on your turnover. And, there's a lot of good there, and you have a lot of rest, so it's not beating your body up too much. And it's just something that, me being a miler at heart, down here, deep in the soul, it's something that comes easy to me and something that I love to do. So you'll see here, I kind of check this box as like my early base phase. So this is going to be where I do some simple mile pace stuff and just working on tempo. So nothing too crazy, long run, getting up to 16, but considering I did a 22 miler in marathon training, 16 is a piece of cake, right? Not really, but still. So I'm not doing anything like 5K pace or CV pace or anything too hard. It's all just kind of beginner threshold stuff and beginner miling training, mile training. So what I'm just going to copy and paste this over into my training. So again, I'll make these workouts on Wednesday. I'm sorry, my nose is going crazy. So I'll just copy and paste these workouts. That's why I like to kind of set up this skeleton, because then I can work as I go through, and it makes it easy to kind of cut and paste as we go. So again, I want to do, my hardest workout on Wednesday. I can have this easy day on Thursday, more mile efficiency. And then my long run on Sunday, where the mile pace training doesn't wear me out too badly, at least for my system. For the early ones, your legs, you might have that muscle fatigue, but by week 4, that's going to be gone, and I'll be able to be recovered from Wednesday's workout and do a really quality long run. So we'll copy and paste those long runs over as well. But again, this is one of those things where I have to emphasize that although it says this on the plan, you can't be too afraid to deviate. You can't be too afraid to really go in and
say I feel really fatigued on this Sunday after kind of the week of workouts, you need to be okay with cutting your long run back, because that cumulative fatigue is real. And over time, if you're feeling super beat up going into, like, say, a 20 miler, you can potentially hurt yourself stretching that out too much. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of fill in the workouts, and then the rest of it is just kind of like simple calculation of making sure that the mileage is meeting your mileage goal, Easy stuff, man. And then I'll kind of go through, as I'm doing that, I'll kind of explain my workouts and why I'm doing it when I'm doing it. So let me just copy and paste this here so we don't take too long. Move that up. And I kind of want to, work with that Mike Smith 10-day cycle, because that's something that I like doing. But basically, it's ensuring that you hit, 5 different workouts within that 10 days. Nope, that's not what I want to do. This is also me struggling with Google Sheets demonstration, just to make it look a little pretty. Okay. Those 5 workouts being, and that's kind of why I had the box with the first 4 as well, because I'm not in that 10-day cycle yet. But those 5 workouts being CV pace, 5K pace, long run is quality, don't forget that, mile pace, and what am I forgetting? Tempo pace. So those 5 workouts in a 10-day cycle with an easy day in between is kind of what I'm aiming for. Now, I'm going to have a little more rest than that just because this is base phase. I'm not beating myself into the ground yet, and I want to be recovered enough. I'm just really worried about making it through healthy, So when I go through my workouts, so this is kind of every workout needs to be working towards something, so it needs to progress. So over time, this is kind of my example of progression. So the first week I'm doing 4 minutes hard, 1 minute easy. That's going to be like at that threshold pace. And I kind of use threshold, tempo, and steady state interchangeably, but for the most part, that's the same thing. I just kind of change the terms based on the length of the workout. But steady state for the most part is going to be approaching threshold, and then I use tempo run for like the shorter, and then I usually just call it tempo pace because that's the phrase that everyone is most familiar with. So second week I'm doing 3 by mile at tempo with 60 seconds less, cruise intervals, classic Jack Daniels workout there. 2 by 2 mile at tempo, 30 minutes steady state, 4 by mile at tempo. That's kind of coming back down from that 30 minutes steady state. Having a down week. The reason we do down weeks is so your body can kind of adapt and recover, because you don't want to go hard. This is the week I bolded them that you kind of step back in mileage. So if we go back to my mileage skeleton, you'll see that this week, and this week, are all bolded, and you can see that it's kind of a step back or a keep even from the week before. So I go from 66 to 60, and then I go from 75 to back down to 70. In the week I hit 90, I go back down to 85. The next week, just to kind of reinforce that training and help your body take a step back a bit. Then we get into CV pace. The CV pace was all the rage after Tim Man Tom Schwartz kind of came out with his training, but that's one that we've been doing for a while. In St. Louis, we got a lot of our training methods from Wash U, and that's one of the kind of workouts that they did a ton, the CV pace, especially in kind of the build-up, because it's that sweet spot of it doesn't wear your body down as much as 5K pace does, and you're still, the way CV pace works is you're kind of hitting that threshold as well, but as you get further into it, you're working the systems that you work at 5K pace and at threshold pace that you would with a steady state. So I kind of like it's kind of best of both worlds. And my body, like, it's in between gears. So it's one of those workouts that's tough, but doesn't beat my body down over time. Because it's kind of like, it's hard for me to run at that speed, where it's easier for me to go at 5K pace. It's easier for me to go at tempo. But CV pace is kind of like that in between where it's kind of tough. So if I can really hit one of those workouts, kind of a confidence booster. But it also doesn't break my body down like 5K pace does. Because 5K pace is something that if I do too much, I get burnt out really easily just on my body. And that's, you can see that week I'm doing 4 miles at tempo, CV pace, and then dropping that long run down to 12 miles. And then with that racing twice in the next few weeks, it's going to be nice to recover from. So I'm going to get into another mile pace efficiency workout, then a longer CV pace workout. And basically CV pace can be, think of it as 10, like I like to think of it as 10K pace as far as the like duration of it. So I'll usually do like between 5K and 7K of work. So for these longer ones, 6x1K at CV pace with 2 minutes rest. Usually just like 5K pace, you like to keep the repeats a little bit shorter. So I'll do anywhere from half mile to mile at CV pace, whereas with 5K pace, I'll usually do anywhere from 400 meters to thousands. And once you start getting to miles at 5K pace, you can do it. It's just, for me personally, it's really hard for me to recover from that. So it's something that I do in training with other runners. I don't do with myself because my body can't handle it, but I have runners who are freaking workhorses that can do that all day, as much as you want to do 5K pace for. And then we'll go 4x224s again. So if you see further out the plan, we did 3. Now we're doing an extra set of that, so everything's progressive. CV pace, 6x12,000, and then 4x200 at mile pace. That's a Joe V. Hill kind of thing where you want to do something a little bit more efficient after you're fully recovered from the workout. That kind of tag that they do on the end of all their workouts is something I really like. And then right before the new year, 8x3 minutes uphill jog back rest. So this week of work, like this column of workouts, is all kind of CV pace, mile efficiency, things that aren't going to break me down too quickly, but are going to help me as we get longer into the plan. And as you can see, like by the time we get there, I'm doing pretty long, 18 miles, and should be at about 90 miles a week. And it just kind of shows you what you want to do when you get there. So now I'm just going to kind of go back in and just fill in the miles. But this isn't as important to me because this is something that, I can kind of change over time. So let me get my calculator out here. Because this is something that, depending on like who I'm running with, if I'm meeting somebody for a group that day, what's going on, this is something that will change. But sometimes I do like to have kind of just that blueprint in mind so you can go out with the idea that, okay, I need to get 8 miles, hit mileage this week. But it can change depending on what happens. So it's not something, I don't like to be a prisoner to the plan, but I do like to have that plan in place. So I'm just going to subtract all the mileage I have in here already. Strides can be whatever. So this is probably going to be 3 miles, 5 miles, 7 miles. Okay, 7. So now that leaves us with 27 miles over the rest of the week. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 days.
Okay. So this is where, if you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to ask it in the comments or ask me on my Instagram or my Twitter at HornetkerJustin. DMs are open. Slide on in. This is where I just kind of paint in the rest of the mileage. So I'm not going to go all the way through it because it's going to be kind of boring. But the idea here is that this is your mileage total. This is where I want to get. And then the rest of this is all filler, but good filler. You need the miles. You can't just only run 3 quality days and then call it a day. You also need those easy aerobic miles to 1, facilitate recovery, 2, build up that aerobic base, and 3, just a little easy running does good for the mind. And we'll kind of go from there. So just to kind of show you what I did, and also the art of doubling as well. If you're worried about hitting mileage, throw in some doubles in there. Mentally makes it easier to do, makes it easier to double, and also going to be a little bit easier on your legs because doubling the shorter runs kind of don't wear down your HGH as much. So when you double, it just keeps your legs a little bit fresher, and the amount what am I trying to say? The trade-off that you get in aerobic boost from doing all your runs in singles, is inconsequential to the amount that you gain by just feeling fresher and mentally feeling better. So that's my stance on doubles. I love them, and I like to do them a lot. So especially on these days where it's like kind of that mile efficiency, so you're not doing as much mileage in the workout, I'll throw in like an evening 5, 6, 7 miler as well. So that's just kind of how I pepper them in. So you can see I'll usually do my like a little bit longer run first day of the week, workout, a little bit longer run, workout my shortest run of the week, and then go from there. So here's where I like to have a medium long run, workout, regular run, workout, regular run, long run. That's kind of how I like to take things. So on this day where I do like an 18 miler and I'm trying to run 90 minutes, this is the last one I'll do, just so we can do it in real time. So I'll subtract 18 from the 90. I'll subtract, this is probably going to be 4 miles. We'll see 3 miles, and then 7 after the warm up and stuff. And then this one, that's 1 hour 40 running. Probably going to be 14 miles. I don't know if that's right or not. Yeah, no, that should be good. Okay, so leaves me with 51 for the rest of the week. So then you'll probably double here. So we'll write that in. Do like a 7 mile double. Leaves me with 44 miles over 3 days. So this is where doubling is crucial, because I'm not going to run 14 miles every day. You're up to 90 mile weeks. You're going to need a double unless you're just a aerobic monster. So I'll do like a 12 mile day. And this is going to be a hard workout. So I'm going to do 2 5s. 40 plus 40. 40 minutes plus 40 minutes. That was like my staple double in college. So do 5 minutes times 2, 5 miles times 2. And then, what does that leave me? So minus 12. Okay, we're going to need to switch this a little bit. So we'll do like a 3 mile PM. So it's 15, 25. And then this will just be like a 10 miler. And there you go. It's all filled in. Okay guys, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Just like a little invite into my coaching brain. Hopefully this all edits okay and is fun to watch. If you want to see more of this, if you want to hear more of my insight, make sure to subscribe to the page, give a little thumbs up. I have some more fun stuff for you planned this week, and we'll kind of go from there. Come along the journey. Listen to the podcast. That's the Running Through podcast. You can find that on Stitcher or any of your favorite podcast listening app, and we'll go from there. I love doing this kind of stuff. It's kind of my passion project. So I am free to answer any of your questions. I also have a Patreon, which I'll post below as well, where for the $10 tier, I just open up my Discord, put out a separate Coach's Corner episode of the podcast, and you can ask me any questions about training design. And it's really, through that Discord, it kind of is a really more personal invite to me. And then I also have some training plan tiers up there as well. So feel free to check that out if you want more of this, and we'll kind of go from there. So thanks guys for watching, and have a good week.
Yeah. I'm here to change the game up, I'm here to shuffle up the deck. You'll probably think I'm famous cause I got a blue check. I remember playing ball up in Montreal, Quebec. The richest people that I met, they said they really